Welcome to the Awakened Goddess Show, your source for inspiration, wisdom, and personal discovery. The place to learn from a diverse mix of mentors, metaphysical experts, spiritual leaders, and best-selling authors from around the world. I'm Angela Wilkinson, attraction coach and founder of The Goddess Next Door. Join me as I explore the minds of my masterful guests while they share powerful insights and easy-to-use tools you can start using right away. Now, let's tap into the energy of the Awakened Goddess and be enlightened by today's guest. Hey everyone, I'm your host, Angela Wilkinson, and welcome to this episode of the Awakened Goddess Show. Through grounded, integrative processes such as shamanic breathwork, meeting and integrating our shadows, understanding the cycles of change from death to rebirth, and working with your shamanic astrology chart, Pam Savory and Barb Westover over at Freedom Rising Spiritual Community facilitate you to remember, to reclaim, and to restore your unique expression of the divine upon the planet. But before I talk with Pam in just a few seconds here, I'm super excited to share that Spark Society is now officially open. Spark Society is the place to be to ignite your own brilliance and let it shine. Join today and you'll get immediate access to a collection of exclusive gifts from Awakened Goddess Show guests, plus a private community to connect with other awakened goddesses to share insights and ideas. Visit bit.ly, that's bit.ly/Spark Society for more information and to join today. Welcome, Pam, to the show. You're also known as Sophia, that's your goddess name, so how perfect for the Awakened Goddess Show. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so glad to have you talking today about empowerment through shamanic breathwork. Why don't we just start with what that is? For people that aren't familiar with even shamanism, why don't we even start there? What is shamanism? And then when we take it to the breathwork, what is that?
Well, to me, the word shamanism is a practice of recognizing the cycles of death and rebirth. And on so many different levels, in our emotional realm, our physical realm, a relationship, a work environment, whatever, we are in different cycles of death and rebirth. And the traditional shaman would travel to different dimensions to find the answers. And so shamanic breath work is a tool in which we can do that for ourselves, because I believe that we have the answers. We're the ones that have the answers to our own healing. And so this is a way in which to shed the ego and get right into what the soul's truth is and what the soul needs at that moment. And oftentimes it's surprising because there are things that hover below the line of consciousness. So this is a easy and quick and harmless tool of getting to those answers that lie below the level of consciousness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, having all those layers that we kind of put on ourselves, it seems like that's really the journey that we're all on is learning how to let those parts go, all of those layers and the masks and those personas that we take on to really get in touch with that authentic part of ourselves.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that sounds very powerful, this breath work.
It is the most powerful tool that I have found to get to a person's truth. And I've been working in this field since the 90s, and it's the tool I always go back to.
Wow. Very cool. Well, for those of you that are listening, we're going to actually a little bit later have Pam walk us through some breath work. So you'll get an actual experience of that for yourself. So let's talk about shadow, our shadow sides, our shadow selves. We talk a lot about that part that maybe we don't like to talk about, or the parts we don't like to acknowledge. So what does that look like when we're working with our shadow? And how does it help us become more enlightened?
Well, we all know what stuckness is, and we all get stuck. And it's not a bad thing unless we are stuck to the point of frozen fear. And so working with the shadow is going beneath into a place where the diamonds are, so that we can bring the light of consciousness to those shadow aspects of ourselves that are holding us back. So if we asked somebody that is close to us a particular question about our shadow, they probably could tell us. But if we ask ourselves, it's like being out in the sun, we turn around, we can't see our shadow very easily. So we work with the shadow knowing that it holds a lot of gold in it. And if we bring it to the light of consciousness, then we can move around that spiral wheel of transformation to the rebirth process, which I think as we look out in nature, we look out the window, we look at things, it's a natural part of our being is to constantly let go and let in. But we get stuck. So shadow is a way in which to release the stuckness in a particular area of our life.
So do we ever get rid of our shadow?
I personally have never, I think we are always going to be with some shadow. Yeah. I think it's part of human nature. I love this quote from my dear teacher, Linda Starr-Wolf, is that there is no difference between shadow and light. They're equal, and they both bring us power. And the greater our shadow, that's why we can't be afraid of it, the greater the light. So if we have had experiences maybe that we have shame around and we've hidden them into our shadows, and so we are very, very conscientious about certain ways we operate in the world because of these experiences, that means that that's a good place to go, because that is where our light is found.
So bringing to light those aspects of ourselves then brings forth more light. Is that, am I understanding?
Exactly. More balance.
So, gosh, you know, the shadow part, it seems there can be a lot of pain and fear there. So how do you, I mean, I know doing it on your own, that can be really challenging, especially if you're not skilled in any particular practice that will help you get there. So I'm wondering what advice you give when someone is interested in going there, but they're really, really scared of that part.
Well, I think that fear is part of it. And we were fearful when we had to go into a new classroom when we went into our first day of second grade. Yes. And we still went. We still opened that door, you know, but usually we had somebody that was a loving presence beside us, whether it was a friend or a parent or a sibling. So I really suggest that we do have support when we're working in this way. And that's what the shamanic breath work we do as a community. We do individuals as well, but the community is in the environment that we create is very sacred, very safe, so that people can go where they're needing to go. And that might be to the light. Recently, I was working with somebody, and their shadow piece was the light. They were always operating in a place that was darker, more negative, and that was their place. Their fear was being in the light, shining that light. It was shut down in childhood. And you're too big, you're too loud, you're too bright, you know. So that can be a shadow aspect.
Okay. So I want you to talk more about that, because for myself, that has been a struggle, and I'm sure many listeners out there, this is a very common theme. I know with a lot of spiritual entrepreneurs, this is huge. So you're going to have to go deeper with that. Let's talk more.
Okay. So if I was working with somebody regarding this, I would want to work around what is fearful. But first of all, through the breathwork experiences, you get to the core of when this happened, when this got shut down, when we got out of balance. Because I believe that true growth, conscientiousness, and spirituality is having balance. It's recognizing we carry both polarities within. But for some reason, we shut down a particular aspect of that. So we need to go to those places where, I remember this or I remember that. And we need to bring our adult, wise woman to the forefront and say, but now I have this ability to stand up to that and confront it and have voices, or have a time where you do some dialogue with the shadow aspect. Take some time to be the shadow and be the light, be the adult woman, writing fears out. And what is your biggest fear? I mean, what is your biggest fear right now, Angela, in shining your light?
Oh gosh, maybe that it's not going to be good enough, or that it's not going to be right.
And that's real common. And so, what's the worst thing if you were wrong?
Oh, I look like a fool.
Yeah. And you know what? I love to look like a fool because I feel really human in front of, when I work with people, I'm real.
Yeah.
And I have awful days. I have days I cry. I have days that I'm foolish. I have days that I say things and I go, oh my God, did I just say that? I have to make amends,
Yeah.
And I think it allows other people to be human when we err, and we make amends if we need to. And we are foolish sometimes. I don't think there's any a celebrity that can say that because they have a lot of light shining on them, that they can say that they've walked in that light without being foolish, without making mistakes. And I think as human beings, we are here to err so that we can grow, and we turn those around as being our teachers. And I just relax into that with working with people. It's like, yeah, I agree. I have that fear too, and I just go ahead and go beyond that and just accept. I'm going to be foolish. I'm going to be wrong, and that's okay. I'm going to have somebody not like me, not like my words, and that's okay. I'm not going to resonate with everybody.
Yeah, it seems like the key is really going into it deeper and acknowledging it, just letting it be exactly as it is. And that seems to really take the power away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, how interesting that is, that it's set up where we're so afraid of going in deeper, yet as soon as we step into it deeper, then it kind of releases it. I mean, that's like perfectly set up, right, with the ego?
It really is. And I love to use nature as my go-to when I am in fear. I just close my eyes and I think of something outside that it's in full bloom. And what if it was in fear, not to be in its complete beauty?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that relaxes me into my true nature.
Mm-hmm.
And that I can also shrivel up and die and have my seasons of going to death and not being that brilliant, beautiful flower, but going within, because it's time for me to go within and regain energy and power from within for my next growing season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it seems like, you think about, like you say, like maybe a flower that is, if it's restricting itself and trying to hide and stay small, then the world, the universe is not experiencing the fullness and the beauty of it being just itself and allowing that full potential to come forth. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I like that. That makes me think to myself, well, it's okay just to be me and not worry about kind of hiding or holding those parts in. So perfect.
Yeah, and part of our work is telling our stories. And I think that, as we get used to telling our stories, certain aspects of those stories lose their power. And we recognize that not everybody, there's nobody that is meant to be on all the time. And we have to recognize our own rhythms and seasons, and that's the beauty of the goddess work too. Mm-hmm. Because we get in rhythm with the cycles and our own cycles, and we accept it. It doesn't mean we don't show up, but we show up knowing, I'm just not on my mark today, and that's okay.
Yeah. So let's talk more about those cycles. Yeah, the cycle of death and rebirth, and how that. Can you kind of paint a picture of that? I know you kind of touched on it already.
I'd love to.
Yeah.
This is something that I think should be taught in our schools. It's so powerful. It's so simple. And it's really, I'll put it in a way that everybody can understand, and that is the birth of a baby. Mm-hmm. So cycle one is the water cycle, is where we are floating in the womb. We feel very comforted that everything is provided for. Everything is going great. We also think of water cycle as being the emotional realm. And then we move into the earth cycle. This is when the baby is, moving his elbows or her knees out, and it is crowded, and there's pressure, and it's like something needs to change. This is in our life. This is when we are depressed. We're sick of ourselves. We need something to move. We need something to change. And so we feel this pressure, and it's got to change. So this is where a lot of people get stuck. So knowing these cycles, we can say, I need to stay here a little longer because I'm not quite sick of myself enough to make change. Or I've been here for 18 years. I think it's time to make a change. Mm-hmm. So then we bring in the fire. And the fire is movement. It's action. It's will. It's the fires of transformation, burning away those things that no longer serve. It might be a belief. It might be a friendship. It might be a job. It might be the paint on your wall. It could be something so simple or something very complex and big. And so this is when the baby and the mother start working together, and the baby starts going down the birth canal in action. And then we go to, oh my God, I can't give birth. This is impossible. I'm giving up. And the ring of fire happens. And so we have to look beyond ourselves and ask something higher than self, whatever that belief might be in you, for help. We're surrendering to spirit, and we say, I can't do this on my own. I need help. And so this is a place of surrender. And in surrender, we don't know the outcome, but we are surrendering to whatever outcome there is. And then we go into the fifth cycle, which is the air cycle. And that is where we celebrate. The baby comes out, take its first breath, and we celebrate. We're excited. This is when the baby is welcomed into our lives. And the elements have a lot of other significance, and that takes days to go over. But, this is when, you think, that baby is imprinted, through the air cycle. It's imprinted by impressions, by sounds, by a lot of different things that happens in the womb as well. But now they're out in this big, bright world, breathing as a human being. So those are the cycles that change, and when we're aware of those, we can say, okay, I have a habit. I get stuck in this cycle frequently. If I know where I need to go, I need to maybe bring that piece to me. I get stuck in fire. I burn myself out.
Me too. I was just going to say, please, let's talk about getting stuck in the fire cycle,
Yeah.
because that is me too.
So good, because I know that. I burn myself out till I used to do it until I got sick. And then I got sick of that. So I was like, my fire was in earth because I was so sick of myself being exhausted, being tired, burning the candles at both ends. I need to bring balance into my life. So I brought that womby water place to me in a way that works for me, in my daily practice, giving myself permission to relax on the couch, to float in the waters and not be balancing my checkbook, doing bills, doing my nails, I can do nothing. And that is doing something for me. Mm-hmm. So it's bringing balance. So a lot of people might bypass being in the earth, getting depressed. And so what happens with them is they crash real big time because they might bypass and live in the light too much. So they need to bring some balance and earth into their lives. Earth is also about bringing form, bringing in boundaries, having a schedule, having a to-do list. It's a real practical place of learning what we need because it's not working anymore.
Sure. And then the surrender piece, because I know that I think that is a struggle for a lot of, again, entrepreneurs. What do you have to say about that surrendering part?
Well, I think that's the hardest piece for will-driven people. And for entrepreneurs, they're usually will-driven people because they are creators and they want to get things done and make things move. And it's a really, really fine line of being will-driven and then surrendering. And I think that each person needs to find out where that is, because if we push and birth something too soon, it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It doesn't work. So we need to really do personal work so that we can understand our signals. And if things are feeling right and are aligning. If things aren't aligning more naturally and we're forcing everything, that's probably a birth that may not sustain itself because the timing isn't right. Mm-hmm. And there's another way I can explain surrender too. I've had some illness in my past, and I was driven to find the answers for my illness so that I didn't have that any longer in my life. And so there was this place of having that going on and always knowing and never giving up that I would find an answer, and also surrendering that I have this. This is what I have today, and I'm going to live my life fully with this. So it's an and, it's not an or. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see how you can kind of overlay this cycle, the cycles of change for really anything, whether it's relationships or your business or, it's really interesting. And I love how you explained each of those aspects. Mm-hmm. So I know that you use shamanic astrology as part of your coaching and your programs. Can you speak to that? What is that about?
Well, I think that it's a great imprint to work with people on an individual level. And during my coaching counseling sessions, the first thing I do is look at somebody's shamanic astrology chart. This gives me a lot of clues because every person comes in with an expertise, so to speak. So I look at what those expertise might be, and along with their flavor of the Venus goddess coming in and how the qualities in which they can express themselves in the world. And maybe they're not comfortable with that. So we bring in the inner masculine into play so that we can feel completely supported, so that we can bring out that brilliant powerful woman that feels safe in the world, it doesn't come from an outer masculine. It comes from the inner masculine supporting us in that quest. And then I look at where are they going in this lifetime? What is it that they're here to do? So kind of a life purpose. And a lot of times people get stuck in that comfort level of what they know and don't move. So we transition gracefully into a place of their gifts to the world today, and we use our Chiron wounding, which we all come in with, bringing that to the light of consciousness so that we can say, this is my wound and my gift to the world. So we pull that all together, and it just is a great platform to start, just dive right into being that powerful being that you want to be in the world.
It's interesting that you talk about this because in the last week I've heard about the Chiron like twice. So
yeah.
I've had my natal chart done. I'm going to have to go look at that because I think there's a little message there for me.
And the shamanic astrology looks at things a little differently than a lot of other astrologies. I think there's no right or wrong way. It's what resonates with each person. I personally just like this particular way of looking at the charts.
Cool. All right. So I'm thinking this is a great time to go into the breathwork exercise. So I'm going to let you take it away. What we're going to do is Pam's going to walk us through, kind of get us prepped and say an invocation, and then we're going to play some music for you to do the breath work, and then we're going to come back. And the breath work's going to be about 2.5 to 3 minutes. So take it away, Pam.
Okay, thank you. So first of all, this needs to be done in the safety of a chair or on the floor, not while you're driving. So what you'll do is get comfortable first of all. So find a comfortable place to be and close your eyes. And the breath work, as you breathe through this music piece, then what you will need to do is just breathe until you're surprised. So if you actually stop the deep breathing process, that's okay, because there's a couple of things that are going on. This particular music is towards the end of our sessions. It's higher chakra music. It has words in it, but not in English. So we can put our own interpretations on them. And you may have a body experience. You may have an out-of-body experience. You may meet a guide. You may have a memory of a past life or this life memory that needs to come to the surface. And you may have a vision of some sort that will give you a clue of a next step in a particular area of your life. So I always say, just kind of ride the waves of the music, because it's like the music is our river and we're jumping into the river and just floating and seeing where it takes us. So just put your hand on your abdomen and maybe on your heart, and take a few really deep cleansing breaths. As you're breathing in all of you and letting go of any expectations. Just really breathing in the experience of the body and the knowingness of your truth, and letting go of anything that might get in the way of that, known or unknown. And as you continue, start doing a deeper breath. You can make a little noise if you want on the exhale. During the breath work, be free with your noise, be free with your body movement and your expression at this time. Continue the deep breathing. It's circular breath, not being held at the top or the bottom. And as you continue breathing in the new and letting go of old belief systems, old ways of being, I'm asking for you to call in your particular guides, your angels, your power animals, your power allies, all those that love you, your God, your goddesses, surrounding yourself with love, knowing that you will receive exactly what you need today. And as you're breathing, I'm going to start introducing the music, and continue breathing, and then let go of that if that happens for you, and just enjoy your journey. We'll see you on the other side. Have a great one. So as you bring yourself back slowly, bring all of your experience back with you, all the images, the colors, the body sensations. Give your guides acknowledgement and a thank you for being present for you. And then open your eyes and slowly come back into your space. And usually at this time we have a little art piece, or we do some journaling, because it's just like being in a dream. If we don't do something with this right away, we'll forget. And our sessions usually last about 70 minutes or longer. And so we have many, many things that can happen. So Angela, what did you experience?
Well, immediately I could feel and see the blazing sun, and then the landscape was very dry. It was like desert. And then I got a little confused because I started seeing, or I saw a person that was kind of dressed in very neutral, just plain, kind of like not a sheet, but kind of like that kind of draping. And they were kind of squatted or bent down on the ground. Um, and so what was coming up was a past life when I was in Egypt. And I was like an architect for the pyramids. But at the time, in this experience, I was feeling kind of some guilt and some anger coming up, because there was a part of me that knew that this person that was down on the ground was a slave, and that I knew it was not right.
Yeah.
So so I was feeling angry that this was happening, and then sad and feeling guilty that this was happening.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what part of your life right now can you relate that to?
Myself and my work.
Okay.
It's like I'm my own slave driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
all work, no play.
Yeah. So what could you do differently?
Oh gosh. I could
one thing
bring more beauty into my life, because that environment was so brown, so neutral and dry. Yeah. Definitely bringing in the beauty and the feminine aspect.
Yeah. I think that's so beautiful, and look how it's just one little tiny 2-minute thing, and so that's, to me, that's a huge piece though, because it came in so big for you,
mm-hmm.
and bringing in beauty wherever you go. You are the temple that you create, and that will be inspirational for you.
Yes. Yeah, I think that definitely is what has inspired this show, the Awakened Goddess show, because it's that part of myself that is wanting to blossom and bring more beauty into the world through service and bringing forth people to share their truth.
Right, yeah. Right. That's great. I love that.
Yeah.
And so when we have these experiences, we look at everything that happens. We look at, like you did, the desert, the sun shining, the simple fabric on this scowl. And was it a woman? Were you a woman or were you a man?
I was a man in both
positions. Uh-huh.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's another aspect to look at, because we really work a lot with that masculine piece, because, what part of your inner masculine feels imprisoned?
Mm.
So there's a lot there.
There is.
Yeah, because when you really find out the qualities of what you need from your inner masculine, your goddess self, your divine feminine, will feel safe to be out into the world.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't wait to journal on that. Awesome. Okay, so how, with the breath work, what is it, like a typical amount of time when you actually do the breathing part?
The breathing part is approximately 70 minutes.
Oh my goodness.
Average. Yeah.
Wow. I don't know how someone could do it for so long.
It is. It's amazing. Yeah. The experiences. You can go from one thing to another. You could have many lifetimes. You could go from like what you did to maybe a physical, where you broke out of prison. You had the opportunity to have some resistance of some sort, because we create that in this space where you can have some resistance to fight out of being imprisoned.
Ooh, I love it.
Yeah. You could have archetypal and go, and then after you maybe break out, you could have maybe an archetypal relationship with a new guide that says, yes, you're free. I've been waiting for you. whatever. Anything can happen.
Wow.
You could become a elephant flying in the sky.
Yeah, I can tell just from that little experience how powerful that this breath work is. Oh, I'm so glad we got to do that. So I'm wondering how the listeners can contact you. Where can they find you? Where can they find out more?
Our website is freedomrisingspiritualcommunity.org.
Okay.
We are also on Facebook at Freedom Rising. I'm on Twitter at Mama Savory. That's my last name, Savory, Mama Savory. And so I hope you can, look and see if there's anything that we can offer. But I also do private Skype or phone sessions. If you're not in the area, then we can do individual sessions that way as well.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. And you have a coaching package special that you're offering for the listeners?
I did. I had a vision. I haven't been doing much work with individuals as of late, and I had a vision that I was supposed to offer that as part of my service piece for 2015. I have very limited space, but I'm offering a package of 12 sessions that are $49 a session, so it's very affordable.
Wow, that's great.
And it has to be used within a year, and some people are doing back-to-backs, week to week, just to get launched and really get going, and then they'll spread it out so that you have some assignments and some things to work with, or readings or whatever, time to practice what we implement each week.
Wow. Oh my gosh, you guys definitely have to jump on that. And I'm going to have links to all the ways to contact Pam. So you definitely want to take advantage of this amazing offer that she has. So don't delay. Jump on it. Well, thanks, Pam, for joining me today. This was so much fun. And gosh, I just loved that experience of, breath work. I really had never experienced it before. And so I am really glad that you were able to bring that to us today.
Thank you, Angela. And I really love your vulnerability and willingness to go there with everybody.
Thank you. That's part of what I am to be doing on this show. That's been a journey for me myself, is really allowing myself to be vulnerable. So thank you. Well, thank you everyone for listening to the Awakened Goddess Show. Was it inspiring for you? Please give the show a 5-star rating and review. And if you never want to miss another episode, make sure to subscribe at theawakenedgoddess.com. And until next time, goodbye, everyone. Thank you for listening to this episode of The Awakened Goddess. I hope you enjoyed today's show and took away something you can start using in your life right away. For more spiritual insights and to listen to more episodes, subscribe to The Awakened Goddess Show at thegoddessnextdoor.com and discover wisdom that'll change your life.